Good afternoon, and I hope you're excited and ready to look into Chapter 7 of Unit 2. Today we're going to look at discounts, trade, and cash, and you might wonder, why is this applicable? Well, we'll get into it depending on if you work retail or if you're actually working in business. Kind of on the consumer side, it is very applicable. So there's a lot of vocab. Now that we're in the second unit, I'm going to kind of expect you guys to do the reading and know the vocab that comes with it. So just pay attention that you'll need to know what the trade discount is, cash discount, invoices, net price, and freight terms, and then I'll cover some of the concepts in the notes. But, for example, your trade discount is what's going to happen from the manufacturer or the wholesaler to the retailer. So I kind of drew a quick diagram to help understand, okay, what's going on? Well, we have the manufacturer producing the goods, and they sell it to a retailer, such as Kohl's here in Council Bluffs, who then turns around and sells it to a customer. So the manufacturer says, hey, this is what the list price should be, and we'll give you a discount on that Kohl's so you can make a profit when you sell it to your customer. So where this comes into, this diagram kind of also comes into play is with your shipping, when you look at freight. And it's important because to understand who pays for the shipping, we have to understand what, is it FOB shipping point or is it destination? Now when it's shipping point, that's saying that the owner is now Kohl's once it's loaded onto that, if it's truck, cart, cargo, airplane, whatever, once it's shipped, once it's at that shipping point, it is now the retailer's responsibility, and it's now the retailer who has to pick up the tab to ship it. Now if it says destination, then that means that the materials or the goods are actually owned by the manufacturer until it arrives at its destination, and thus the manufacturer pays for the shipping when it's called FOB destination. So those are a couple things to pay attention to and kind of why they are that way. When we look at a single discount, so say my manufacturer in New York is going to give me a trade discount. If it's a single one, then it's going to be a one-time or a 40% or a certain amount. We have our portion-based rate still come into play because this helps us understand. Now, if you want to figure out the difference of the trade discount and 100%, that's what they call the complement. And we'll actually work through a couple problems using single rate and then the complement, just so you get familiar with it. So the example said a new MacBook costs $2,700, but they're going to give them a 40% trade discount. So what is the price of the Mac that they paid for, and then what is the discount price that they received? And there's a couple ways you can figure this out. If we do 27 times our 40% trade discount, well, then that tells us how much of a discount we're actually going to get. Now, if we wanted to do the complement's going to be 60%, because I did 100 minus 40 gets me 60%. And this is what I'm paying of the actual price of the item. So if I wanted to do it this way, I'd go 2,700 times 60%, which is the price of the item, how much we're actually paying, is actually 1620. But if I did the math for 27 times 40% trade discount, I'm figuring out the price of the trade discount, which is going to be $10.80. So I could figure out how much I paid for the Mac by taking 2,700 minus our trade discount, minus that $10.80, and I'm going to get 20 minus the 6, so 6. 1620, which is the same thing as I got here, but just using the complement. Now if I'm a good retailer and I work out a deal where I get a chain or a series of discounts, they're going to be written kind of in a format that might not be too understandable. It's going to say, 20, 15, 10, or 5, 10, 12, or it could have 2. It just needs to be more than 1 to be a chain. And they'll ask in the problems, figure out the net price equivalent rate, and then figure out the single price equivalent rate. And what's the difference is, still just coming back up here and using that concept of complement or just regular straight up, we're looking at here, it says the percent of paying. So the net price equivalent rate is what are we paying. So if we had 100% here, I'm going to take my discount from each of these. So I'm going to have, I'm paying 80%, I'm paying 15, so I'm paying 85%, and then minus 10, so I'm paying 90%. So to get the net price equivalent rate, I'm going to multiply these together, so 80 times 85 times 90 to get my number. And here, I'm going to recommend kind of from here on out to use calculators, just because we can make a lot of mistakes by freehand, and we kind of wanted to make sure you mastered that last unit. Now let's use our calculator. So 0.8 times 0.85 times 0.9. So what I'm actually paying is going to be 0.612 of whatever that price is. Now that discount would be, if I did the single equivalent discount rate, well, I'd take the percentages of the discounts and multiply those together. So let's get a problem and figure out what we can do. So here it'd just be 0.20 times 0.15 times 0.1, and that gets my rate. And after doing the math, or I could just do 1 minus this, minus that 0.16 is 0.388. So I know what rate I should take to whatever price I have. So if we do a practice on the practice quiz, number 3 on the practice quiz, it's $12,000, and it says its chain discount rate is 5, 10, 25. Now they want us to figure out both net price and single equivalent rate price, and so how I'm going to do that, 100 minus 5 is 95, 100 minus 10, 0.10 is 0.9, and 100 minus 25 is 0.75. I'm going to multiply that together. So 0.95 times 0.9 times 0.75 equals 0.64125. Okay, now I can times that by my 12,000 to get my actual price, which is, so equals 76.95. So 7,695 is what you paid. Or if you want to figure out the single equivalent different discount rate, then you do the discounts. So 0.05 times 0.1 times 0.25 equals either the opposite, 1 minus this, or I can actually do the math. And it gets 1 minus this is 0.3, what is that, 3.5, 875, times that by 12,000, and it should get the reverse of this. So 12,000 minus that should get me this number, which would be 4305. I add those together and I get 12,000. So that was one of the practice quiz problems, trying to figure out net price and single price. A couple other things. So that was all with trade discounts. Now we're looking at cash discounts. And cash discounts means if I buy something and I pay on a set amount of time, in a specified time frame, I can actually get a discount. And so some things you need to pay attention to, or at least in the vocab, the terms of the sale, which include your credit period, your cash discount period, as well as trying to figure out what we're looking at. And so when you want to figure out your cash discount, how do you calculate that? Well, they in the book said 3 methods. You could remember the rhyme, you could look at your knuckles, or you could look at the table on page 182. I actually recommend making a quick copy of 182 table 7.1 to have with your homework, so you can just look up instead of having to look at your knuckles or remember the nursery rhyme. But what it broke down into was 3 types of due dates or time periods. They had ordinary dating, they have ROG, which is received on goods, like when you receive the goods, and then your end of the month. And so we'll walk through each of what they mean. So in your ordinary dating, they give you a kind of a format where it says the percent discount, and then to get that discount, how many days is that discount available? If not, then the net price of the whatever you bought needs to be paid within the X amount of days. So if it says 210, that means I get a 2% discount within paying within the first 10 days. If I don't pay within the first 10 days, I have to pay everything within 30 days. So that's kind of why that's set up that way. Now, the goods received is your discount period won't start until you receive the goods. So I might have bought it, I might have had it invoiced on May 15th, but the goods didn't get to me until May 20th, so that's when my date starts. So, and then the last one was just the end of the month. This is kind of tricky, so you might want to read over the chapter a couple times. But the end of the month, if it's before the 25th or on the 25th and before, so say April 4th, what you do is you go to the next month and start at day 1 of the next month. And then normally if it says 1/10 end of month, that means you have 10 days from the first part of that next month. So April 1st would then give me, I'd go to the next month, which is May, and then I have 10 days in May. So that means May 10th is when it'd be, my discount would end, but then my goods wouldn't be done until May 30th because I have 20 more days after that. Now if you're actually on the 26th or after, you get an additional month, and that's because sometimes they do like a 15, if you pay within 15 days you have a 2% discount. Well, if you did that, you'd actually be past the 10th. And so what they do is if you're on April 29th, what they do is, okay, well they don't just kick you to May, they kick you to the next month, which is June, and then you're 10 days after that. So the last thing in chapter 7 was partial payments, and then we'll work some homework problems. And the partial payment was you just figure out your discount rate, and then you take the amount that you paid divided by the discount rate to get your partial payment. And then you take your invoice amount minus your partial payment to get the balance outstanding. And so we can actually work one of the homework problems, but I figured to help you guys out, if you watch this video, we'll do at least 3 and then a partial payment. So we'll do at least 3 and maybe 4 problems for it. So let's look at number 6 of your homework for chapter 7, and it says that you bought a scanner and the price was $320, and they gave you a chain discount of 3, 5, and 9. Calculate the net price and the trade discount. Now on the homework, how we have it in a new format, pay attention to what we ask for, because if I ask just for the net price, put in just the net price. If I ask for just the trade discount, put in just the trade discount. But what would we do here? Well, I have my price, and I know how much discount I get, so I have 0.97 times 0.95 times 0.91 to get my total of my discounts added together, which will be basically 0.838565. Okay, so that's how much my discount's going to be. Now, if I actually multiplied that, or that's what my net price will be, because I didn't use the discount numbers, I used basically the complement of that. So if I times that by 320, I get my price of $268.34. So how do I figure out my discount from that? Well, there's a couple ways I can do that. I can either take 1 minus this number to get the reverse, or the complement, which is 1614, and then times that by 320, or I could just take 320 minus that number, which gives me a price of $51.66. So depending on what they ask for, if they ask for net price, which is this, or if they ask for a trade discount, it's $51.66. So let's look at 12. It says April 10th with terms of 3/10 end of month. Wait, sorry, wrong one. Let's look at 13. Let's look at April 10th, terms of 2/10, 1/30, or net 60. What's the last day of the discount period? Well, and then what's the last day the bill is due? So I'm going to grab my sheet to make sure I know everything. But the discount period is 30 days after April 10th. Okay, well, April 10th, I look it up on my format, or my formula, and it says it's 100. So I can either go 100 plus 30 equals 130, and then look up 130, and it says 130 is May 30th, or no, May 10th. So discount ends May 10th. Now I'm going to do that same thing, and I get 160. I look up 160, and it says it's June 9th, is what 160 is on the table. So let's do one more. It's number 28. Says that I'm buying 50 pairs of shoes from Nike for 85 bucks, and these are the terms that I get. What happens if I was invoiced on October 15th and I paid them within 13 days. So 13, I missed this, but I hit this 2% discount. So what I'm going to do is take the number of 50, so 4250 times 0.98 to get my price because I had a 2% discount. So 1 minus 2.02 gives me 4,165 is the answer for 28. So if you have any questions, feel free to email me. Hopefully I didn't walk through this too fast, but by doing the reading as well as kind of watching the videos, hopefully they'll complement each other and you'll be able to understand what's going on. Alright, thanks, take care.